Hi, boys and girls, it's Miss Mulligan. We're going to do a two-part lesson today. And the first part of our lesson is going to be a little bit with word work. We're going to be working on those endings, and we want to make sure our eyes are moving all the way through the word. That is very, very important. And the strategy I like to tell kids to use is, does it sound right? When you're reading, does that sound how you talk? That's what we're going to pay attention to. The second part, tomorrow, we're going to be doing a little bit with reading that book. And now that we're familiar with these words, with the base word and endings, we want to work on that fluency. It is an I book. When we hit that I level, I like to really, really start to speed up. And you're not going to see me pointing as much like this one-to-one. We're going to be a little bit rapidly. I'm going to be scooching my finger like this really quickly. So we're trying to increase that fluency, but we're going to get really confident by knowing these words today before we do that tomorrow. So say with me, I can, try, my endings on my base words, So I took apart the book and pulled out a lot of those words with endings. Then we're going to go through the book and we're going to try to locate them and do a picture walk before we do our reading tomorrow. So the first part of the word, if you look at this word right here, we're going to start here. The part in blue is my base, okay? It makes a word like mourn, and this is part of the beginning of this part that says mourn, and then the ending is ing. Put it together to make your word mourning, okay? This part is, here's the AY. If I know AY, I know A. We're always looking for those phonemes we know to help us read the word accurately. When we know our phonemes, we try that rule first. If it doesn't work, we try something else. This is A. If I know A, I know A. Stayed. Stayed. This ED makes the D sound. Remember, sometimes that ED can make the T, like jumped. Jumped. Okay? So you read how you talk. Next one. There's the egg family. If I know egg, I know wagged. There's the egg right there. Egg. If I know egg, I know wagged. Wagged. That ED has the D sound at the end. Okay? Let's go to the next one. This is a red word. You can't sound it out. It's the word I. Try it. I. Simple. With that S, you want to make sure you hear that. Eyes. Eyes. It's important. Meaning. Eyes means more than one. You read like you talk. If you're checking the picture and you see there's something that means more than one and you say I, you need to remember to get your plural. Eyes. Here's the ER at the end. Okay? So I see WH in there and I see LE. Whistle. We know the word, the LE. Whistle. We clap that LE. If I change that from whistle and I add an ER, it's whistler. In this case, it looks like a name because it's a capital W. So it's probably a character with a name in our story. Now, base word, fluff. Remember, double consonants, one sound. Fluff. Let's add that ED. Fluffed. Fluffed. Did I say fluffed or fluffed? I fluffed the bed. I fluffed the blanket. You could try either. I fluffed. I hear more of a T at the end. You might hear a D. But when we're reading, I would say I fluffed the bedspread so I could straighten it out on the bed. You're always thinking about how it sounds. One of my favorite teachers at Maxfield when I worked there, she was a reading recovery, Miss Marks. She always said, read like you talk. And if it doesn't sound like you talk, you need to go back and try again. That's very important because that leads to comprehension and understanding what you're reading. The next one. Now, I do see at the end. Okay? Feathers. Feathers. Don't forget your S's. They're just as important as any other ending. Okay? Name, capital T, uppercase. Tabby. Well, I can say I or E or Tabby. What sounds right? Tabby. Tabby reminds me of Tabby the cat when I was young. Okay, now we have roll as our base word. Rolled. What do you hear for that ED on the end? Rolled. You hear a D sound. Sometimes you hear that T. There's AW in that word. It's a phoneme we should know. Ah. When we go to the dentist or the doctor, we say ah. AW says ah. If I know ah, I know yawn. That's my base word. And then the ED, yawned. I hear a D sound at the end. Yawned. I yawned. That sounds right. That's the way I talk. See how I'm checking? I'm using my strategy. Does it sound right? AL is a phoneme, all. If I know all, I know call. Call is my base word. Called. What do you hear at the end? Called. A D or a T? D. Called. I hear that D. Next one, AR, like the pirate. R, R, bark. That's my base word. Barked, barked. Ooh, I don't hear the D that time for the ED. I hear the T. Barked, barked. Sometimes that ED can make that T sound. You read how we talk. Always read how you talk. Next one, there's UR. I made it over here because I kind of blotched it a little bit. But UR, it says like ER says and IR says AR is R, OR is OR. Purr is my base word. Purred. The cat purred. I hear a D at the end of that for the ED. Next one, magic E I see right there. So it might tell me it's smile is my base word. Smile. Now I'm going to add my ED on the end. Smiled. Smiled. I smiled at you. Smiled. What do you hear at the end? D? You're right. I hear that too. I have a couple more. I see the double L's makes one sound yell. Yell. Now I'm going to add that ED. Yelled. What do you hear at the end? A T or a D sound? T or T. Yelled. I hear a D too. That does sound right like I talk. There's the EN. N. N. EN says N. That's one I haven't hit a lot this year or last year, but it says N. The base word is woke. Woke. Magic E makes it say O. I try that rule first. Woken. Woken. She was woken by the storm last night. Woken. Now, I'm going to just go through a little bit on my book called Good Morning, Isabel. And this book has those words in there, and she's one of our lead characters, our main characters. And it looks like it's going to happen at home, our setting. We're going to find out about Isabel. So, here's Isabel right here. And I'm going to see if I see any of those words with any, pay attention to the pictures too, with any of those endings. And if I look here, I don't see any yet, but I see this one. I see an S at the end. Eyes, eyes. I see an ED ending. Stayed, stayed. Eyes stayed shut. Wonder why. She must be tired. Somebody else is awake. Let's go to our next page. There's the dog. I'm looking for his name. Is there a name? Capital F, Fido. Fido. That dog's name, that character is Fido. Ooh, that dog gets excited. I see that ending, ED. Could be D or T. Wagged. Wagged. Here's that word again. Eyes. Eyes, meaning two or more. Stayed. Stayed. I hear that D. You're right. So important to do those picture walks. There's that name. I wonder who this is. Islo. Whistler. There's Whistler. 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 Who's is Whistler. It is a name. It's the name of the bird, the canary. But guess what? There's the word feathers. There's the word eyes. Stayed. Here's that word fluffed. Fluffed. Oh, it's not about a bed. It's about the feathers fluffed out or fluffed up. Lots of endings in this book. It's very important to pay attention to them. Remember, the Y in words can sometimes say I or E. Tab-I or tab-E. Tabby, that's the name. Tabby is the cat. There she is again. Tabby. That Y says E. Eyes stayed, and we know shut. Everybody's tired in the house. Wow. There's a new character. I see a capital. Grandma. And that makes sense. Here's our word with the ED on the end. Roll is our base word. Rolled. I stayed shut. Wow, this tells me a lot. Everybody's tired in the house. There's Isabel. There's ah. If I know ah, I know yawned. Oh boy. There's Susan, Fido, Whistler, Tabby, Grandma, Dad. All characters. That's going to set me up for success. Now, I see some words with the ED on the end. If I know all, I know called. If I know R, I know barked. That would be Fido. Whistler, she did something. There's If I know I know purred. That would be Tabby. Smiled. That would be Grandpa. Yelled. That would be Dad. And there's Isabel again, her name. She's talking. Remember, those quotation marks mean somebody's talking. This case, it says, said who? Isabel. So, there's another one. Woken up. Oh boy. Her eyes. Eyes is your last one. Boys and girls, remember, it's so important to set yourself up for success. With unfamiliar books, you always want to go through and do your picture walk. It helps you so much to recognize a lot of those endings we've been working on, those phonemes, those sounds, to take it apart, to match pictures to words, and then go ahead and start reading. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. So remember, when you choose a book, these strategies are so important to do. Let's read our objective one more time, and then we'll read our story tomorrow. I can. Try my endings, and see my base words. Thank you, boys and girls. I will see you tomorrow to read Good Morning, Isabel. Bye-bye.